Hey everybody, Mr. West here. A couple of details regarding the FB drone, assembly. How I did the boom attachment to the wing. Let's start with yes. Here's the wing. It is upside down. That's the center line. And this is the right boom if you're looking at it from the top and from behind. Tail section upside down, messy workbench, signs of activity. Anyway, okay, so in this arm and construction process, I did 2 3/8 dowel. In fact, you can see part of the dowel right here that's running through. So there's two dowels that run through here. A short set that runs right here all the way through, and then a long single piece 48-inch that runs out to somewhere in here. This is a 60-inch wing, so it'd be 6 inches basically short of the wingtip. And then a filler piece is out here on the end. So a 48-inch 3/8 dowel runs all the way through here in this location, and then approximately a 24-inch dowel runs through there. Now, how it attaches, you can see this wire. It's basically safety wire. It is quite malleable. A safety wire is strong enough that you can put a twist on it and will stay. The military uses it anywhere, anywhere that we're dealing with nuts and bolts that should not come undone. Get a safety wire tied through it to keep it from unscrewing. So it's like a lock nut where we would use a nylock nut or a lock washer, something like that. But even more important, aircraft situation, especially the military, will use tie wire or safety wire to tie off critical location nuts and bolts, things like that. Okay, so that's how that's done. Basically, you take a length of wire, fold it in half, so you've got a loop, right? That's the loop right there. It goes down through, over the top of the dowel, comes back up through and over the top of the spar, or excuse me, the boom. Then twist and tied, keep pulling the tension up, and then it's twisted until it's super duper tight, right? And that's a wedge right there, that incidence wedge that I've talked about before in the past. As you can see that right underneath there. Hopefully that's in focus. Can't really tell, my eyes are so bad. And that's the reinforcing plate right here to spread the load, basically. So you're wondering how that loop goes through and comes back to the other side. Well, I did have to perforate the top, and I made 2 slots. So I'm going to flip the wing over real quick. And you can see right here, what I did is I chased a very small screwdriver, like this one right here. I found the spar, and I poked all the way through just in front of the spar and just behind the spar, right? And then I cut a slot, just a knife cut, connecting those 2 holes that go all the way through. So there's a total of 4 right here, right? And so 2 wires that loop around the boom come up through. I lay it down and go back through to the inside. That's one leg that gets twisted, and then another one that goes through and twisted. And it's a round dowel that's laying through here like so. So I've tie wired on to and the wire is laying right up against that dowel on the inside of here. It pulls right through. And then you can just throw a piece of tape over that and make it disappear. And this camo pattern right here, it's really not necessary. You really can't even tell unless you really look at it closely. So let's flip it back over. Okay, so I've done that in two places. This is the forward spar and the aft spar, and it's approximately 1/3 locations. And when I set up those dowels in the wing and approximate, I want the dowel to be on the CG, and that's basically where it is right there. That main spar dowel needs to be pretty much on the CG. That's where all of your weight, the load is going to be carried. So you'd like to have it centered there as best you can. Very, very near is important. And then the second one here to help carry mid-section load only. It doesn't need to go out through, so it's just excess weight out here. But through the midsection, absolutely needs it. Especially with these weights. We're talking 4 to 5 pounds, and this is a styrofoam, styrofoam. It's a foam board wing. So there you go. So these are aluminum arrow shafts. I even still have the threaded inserts here, and then at the other end is basically just cleaned off. The fletchings are gone. It's an old arrow shaft, and what I did on the back end here, I'll flip this around in a second, but you can see I've got this bit of foam board here on top, and I'm using it as a stiffener. And this is the expensive foam board, so it's quite rigid actually on edge. It's got a real nice heavy paper and bonding to the foam. And so I just hot glue that baby in place. Got a little taper, it's shorter here in the front, and it gets a little taller in the back. Kind of interesting shape to it. It doubles as a skid back there on takeoff, or heavy flare. Let me spin this around real quick. Okay, so might be a little too much back here. I've got a 2-layer of foam board as a locator on both sides, and this is just hot glued in place to the horizontal stab. Horizontal stab, I talked about this earlier in text, but this is a doubled piece of the foam board, Dollar Tree foam board. It is basically just folded using the Ed's technique of stripping a 1/2 inch wide and then folding it in half. So this is basically just doubled up. And I believe I have in this leading edge and it doesn't need to be there, although it may or may not help, I'm not positive. The bamboo skewers are then laid into the crease, hot glued in, laid into that crease, folded over, and then this is just simply hot glued, closed up, and then tape sealed everywhere. And I always do clear as the base, and my color or whatever is going to do whatever I'm going to do is going to go over the top of that. Keep in mind too that whatever you do to this tail section as far as a duct tape or a clear tape, duct tape's definitely heavier, and so it's going to add a lot of tail weight. So that affects your CG counterbalance, or you should say your counterweight, meaning your batteries need to go further forward. So be sure that you have the room for them to go forward. And I like to dry fit too. So I leave my fuselages long. I know I'm getting off topic here, but while we're talking about CG, I leave my fuselage lengths long. The starting point is the motor block. The back of the plane, that's the 0, and then I can always cut off length of here it is over here. I can always cut off length of fuselage if it's too long, right? But you can't really add easily. This is a single. That's a single piece of 30, I think. Let me make sure. No, this one's whacked down to 24. I forgot about that. Those dimensions are in the build details. Basically 24 inches. And something that I did too, different in this model than the piece drone, is that I went ahead and took it to the chop saw and I cut off some angle, and that's a 10 degree, I believe it's a 10 degree, and I set that on there, hot glued that on there with that 10 degree angle, because we're gonna have down thrust angle, and that thrust line right there that runs through here needs to intersect just in front of the leading edge of the wing, and the wing basically stops right here. So that motor thrust line needs to point just in front of the wing, and it might be needing more, and the reason for that is to zero out any effect that thrust has on pitch. So I'll kind of stop there. You guys are probably familiar with that. If you have questions about thrust line and its effect on pitch of the plane, just throw me a note in there and we can talk about it. But there you go. I think that covers the questions. MountainDewDude. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, also, while I'm in here, MountainDewDude, this tube is double wall. So when you're doing your layout, add single layers to the spaces in between your pulled paper, half-inch spaces. Hold on a second. Here's an example here. So yeah, this video is for you, MountainDewDude. This is a scrap of some tube section. Actually, this was triangle fused, but you'll get the point here in a second. When your paper is all laid out and you're going to fold up a tube, you pull a half-inch rip off of your foam there to do your corners, right? These are the insides. So to double up a wall, or to double up strength to give that rigidity, what you really do with these heavy loads, and you know, we're talking about 3600, 4000 mAh batteries. You could have 2 or 3 or 4 of them in there. You're going to need to be able to carry that weight, and those wheels, whatever landing gear set you put on the bottom, you're going to need something to reinforce that. I don't find that it doesn't really add any weight, but it adds a ton of torque or twist resistance by doing so. So basically, so from this point right here to here, that's the doubling width. So you cut a piece of material that is this width by the length, and let's say this is one of your other sides, so you cut a piece this width by the length. You just hot glue those babies on there while this is all flat. Then you start doing your folds. Let me back this up a second. I did pre-fold and then laid it back out a little bit. Let it be cupped up like this is here a little bit. Let it be cupped up. You can lay this like this and hot glue your doublers in there, and you'll be good to go. I think you'll be real happy with that. That provides a ton of strength added. And for my batteries, here's the determining width here. Let's say this is the bottom, and the overall, actually this will be the top, but let's pretend this is the bottom. When you do your folds, your joints come together, and we put them together on the bottom usually. So when you're doing your bottom, let's talk about that real quick, is that this piece should be, you know, X wide, right? And then when you fold it over together and you put the two pieces together, you've hot glued one side of the joint, and then when you fold it over and close it, you hot glue the final, and then that's your closure. So that's how you get a doubler on the joint side. So anyway, determine the width of your batteries. You can place them in here and get an idea exactly how wide you want this to be, and then remember that if you're going to double the sides, which you should, I think, that account for a double thickness of foam to be taking up space here. So your batteries need to sit between that doubled up space, or doubled up space taken up, I should say. I think you get the picture. Throw down the questions if that wasn't clear. I think that was it. Alright. Thanks for watching. West out.